Welcome, you guys. So glad that you guys can join us. And today is so cool. I love when we get to talk about online strategies that we're able to utilize within our business. Like, how do we get these clients? Like, that is one of the top questions, and this is never going to be a topic that is ever going to get old. I feel like it's like we always want to know, like, what strategies are working today, because you know what, there are strategies sometimes that are working, and sometimes there are strategies that worked for a while that no longer work anymore, and so we always want to stay on top of it. So my name's Joanne Kaminski. I'm glad that you guys can join us here, and I always want to stay up on top of what the best strategies are for my online tutoring business, so that I always have my incoming students kind of on autopilot. I don't like to spend a lot of time on being able to search out and find every single one of my students one by one. I would rather them find me and them hire me, because it's such an easier process. It doesn't always work out that way. And so today I invited Jasmine to join us. She's from the Ultimate Support Group for Online Tutors. For those of you who have not had the opportunity to join us, definitely join us there. It is a free group on Facebook, and we love to be able to support everybody who's getting started in this business. It's so great to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and really make a go at this entire thing. So I'm so excited to have her. And you guys, you know what's really awesome? I love when people can take their weakest things that have happened, like inside of their lives, and they make it a positive. And that is exactly what Jasmine has done, you guys. So what's cool about Jasmine is that she is a tutor that has ongoing health issues, same as me. I had some health issues that were going on when I got started, and she's also had some learning disabilities. So she loves being able to teach kids that have these learning disabilities and get them to succeed. And she works with kids all the way up to the end of the high school level. She loves teaching math, writing, history. She focuses on teaching the student on how to learn in the best way that they possibly can. And she teaches them how to be their own advocate in education as well. So help me welcome Jasmine to the call. Hey, Jasmine.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good. So glad you are here with us today. And we've got so many people, so many different opinions inside of the Ultimate Support Group. And you are just one of the top people that is constantly just adding value to our group and offering suggestions, ideas, help, and all of that. And we really appreciate you as being a member. So thank you for everything that you do inside of our group.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for those words. Basically, yeah, it's all about, as tutors, we all urge and help everyone. That's kind of usually our calling. So whenever we can add support or add a bit of extra information and help people along the right path, it usually is right there within us to just give.
You know what? You're so right. Absolutely. And we've got lots of people that are already inside of our chat, which is fantastic. So I want to thank Simone. Welcome, Simone. So glad that you are here. We've got Suzanne Davis. She teaches academic. You guys are so good. I usually have to tell people, introduce who you are, where you're from, and what you tutor. You guys are already doing that inside of here. You guys are awesome. So if you haven't been able to introduce who you are, where you're from, all that great stuff, do that, because it helps us be able to get to know, where are you in the world? Where are you tutoring? And it gets to help us get people know. So I'm so glad that you guys are here with us today. Now, you are from Canada.
Yes.
And
yes,
I cold spell right now.
Yeah, the cold spell's working its way westward. So we're kind of just at the edge of the big freeze, I guess they could call it. But it's Canada, so you kind of expect it.
Yeah.
The amount of memes going around of, Canada versus the US winter, it's entertaining.
Yes, it is very entertaining. That is for sure. We had here in Wisconsin, we also had about -45 last week to -55 with the wind chill factor. And I had one of my students who actually looked at me and she's like, wait, she goes, that's not even possible. I said, well, at this point, she's like 14 years old. So I looked at her, I said, you are familiar with a number line, right? She's like, yeah. I go, so before 0, what are the numbers? She's like, negative numbers. I go, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's our temperature. She's like, that's a real temperature? I'm like, unfortunately, yes. It is colder than Antarctica here in Wisconsin. So for those of you that do not know where Wisconsin is, we've got Wisconsin right on over in this area. This is Wisconsin. And we've got our lovely Canada over here, which feels like it should definitely be colder than us. And today, guess what? So today we've got freezing rain. It's 30 degrees, so it's significantly warmer, but it's raining and it's just instantly freezing. So it is just glass outside right now. So yeah, we are just stuck in the trenches of this lovely winter weather. So stay tuned, you guys, because there is a warm weather report coming. I'm telling you. It is coming. And you know what? This is the beauty of online tutoring, isn't it?
Yeah. I've heard so many tutors say that because of the weather, no one wants to go out, no one wants to do anything, which is just pushing all their clients, their in-person clients, into online students, at least giving it a try.
Yes, absolutely. And then, you know, I've talked to so many people that they then fall in love because of that. They fall in love with the online because they start realizing how easy this all is. Like, I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to worry what I'm going to do with that student who doesn't show up on time. It's so incredible, not only for the child who gets to be more comfortable in their own home, but it's also incredible for the tutor because you have the opportunity to really monetize your time better as well, which I appreciate. Yeah. So what are some of the ways right now that are working for you to be able to get some of your students?
Well, in Canada, we have this, it's very much like Craigslist, but it's called Kijiji. And Kijiji is very much, it's just an online, you know, marketplace sort of thing. They've got the different categories. And a lot of the time, I'm just updating my advert that says I offer online tutoring. And I've actually had people message me because my advert says online tutoring. They are interested in that aspect.
Yes.
So it's very straightforward. So I just make an ad. I make a simple graphic on Canva and then just, you know, put the details in, and they can contact me through email or phone, whichever. So that's been my most economic way of doing things because it doesn't cost any money. So I don't have to worry about, you know, it costs money if you boost the post, just like it is on Facebook, but you don't have to do that. Right. You just keep updating your post and posting a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It sounds very similar to Craigslist. And now sometimes there are people, I think when you're on the lower spectrum, for those of you that are listening to this, if you're on the lower spectrum for how much you charge, you can be successful on Craigslist. It's not a bad place to start if you have no students and you're like, you know what? I could take a couple of students right now for $30 an hour. Okay. Let me give that a shot. Let me get some students on Craigslist. It will absolutely work for you. Okay. You'll be able to find some. The problem that most of us have is once we get to the point where we have raised our prices so much, it no longer becomes a strategy that works because Craigslist is a lot of people go there because they want a deal. They don't want to go there because they want to pay high-end prices, right, for your services. So a doctor wouldn't advertise their services on Craigslist for that exact reason, right? If they were doing some side work or anything like that. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Now, is Kijiji, is that similar? Do you find something similar to there, or can you charge some of those higher prices and be able to get found and get students?
I mean, once you get past the $50 an hour, it's very difficult. Most people are advertising that they're so cheap, so why don't you try them? I don't recommend, you know, starting off at, you know, $10, $12 an hour because no one's going to take you seriously. That's something like if you were a student, like a high school student, and you wanted to grab a couple of students, you know, to make some money, that's a great idea. But if you actually want to make a business out of it, it's not so great. So what
Right.
I've been doing beyond that is actually just giving value and supporting other people in basically what you would call my ICA group.
Mhm.
So basically the people who I know and have built relationships with that have children who usually end up being homeschooled or have health issues that are ongoing and require lots of doctor's appointments, because that's what my ICA is. So I make relationships with those people through through Facebook groups, and building the relationship is the most important thing.
Yeah.
They begin to trust me, and then I can say my services cost in the upper bracket price range,
Yeah.
and they don't blink. I'm not sitting there saying, hey, can I help you, why don't you hire me? It's not like
Right.
that. It's hey, you're having trouble with this, let me help you out. And then eventually they know that I become something that's on their list.
Right.
And when they are at a point where it's the right offer and the right time, they say, hey, are you still taking students?
Yep.
My son or daughter is, needing some extra help. And I would love a chance to see if it would be a good match. And then,
Yeah.
we go on from there, have the meeting, the free consult of just getting to know each other to see if I'm a good match for the student and a good match online.
Yeah.
And then go from there and build a plan, a student plan based on whatever gets discussed in the meeting. So I
Yeah.
think, especially since so many people are doing online businesses,
Mhm.
a lot of the parents understand how online businesses work.
Yes.
So it's not a new concept to be using Zoom, right? I just say, here's Zoom, and then I explain, like what bit paper is, and they're okay with it. They love it, and they're, totally open to seeing how things work. It's not like I have to sell them on the online aspect.
Right.
It's just, selling them on well, why don't you give it a try and see if it's a good match for your kid?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny. Okay, so there's so many people that, like, you ask tutors that have had experience for a little while, like, what is your number one strategy for getting students? And hands down, everybody says referrals. Like, number one is like referrals. Like, I asked it inside of our group, and like it just like popped on up. It just blew up when I asked that question. And it's always funny because our brand new people, they can't rely on this whole like referral train that happens, but this referral train only happens because of the things that you're talking about right now. It is about building the relationship, right?
Right. And a lot of, because I've been tutoring forever, but I've only been building this business for a little while.
Yeah.
And with all my other little endeavors online, I've built up quite a friends network that, they are referring me even though they don't have kids that are my ICA.
Yeah.
Or, they're asking me questions to, how can I create a better organized schedule while I'm homeschooling, 5 to 7 kids at home.
Yeah.
And it just builds from there. And it's talking in groups, being visible, and getting yourself, known as a name that pops up. And then, other people saying, well, doesn't that person, or doesn't Jasmine usually deal with homeschool or teaching or tutoring and stuff? So people start tagging me, and it just builds up from there. And that's what builds your social acuity, which is basically the juice that gets you legitimized in the online world, basically.
Yeah, it's social proof, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when somebody else refers you or mentions your name or tags you or does any of that kind of stuff, all of a sudden it is a big radar for people to pay attention to what it is that you're doing. And it is so much. I had a friend one time, and she's like, oh, I was just curious about like what people knew about like reading tutoring and reading tutors. And so I asked my group of people, and every single one of them tagged you. I was like, that's hilarious. Like, I just think that is the awesomeness of social proof and really building it up. So just by being online, you're creating that presence, you're creating those connections with people. What are your online go-to resources? Like, what groups are you joining? Are they in Facebook, or where are you online?
Well, most of the groups I'm in are in other groups that are businesses moms mostly,
Okay.
building online businesses, and then they
Sure.
decide they want to. Most of the people decide they want an online business so that they can stay home with their kids. That's usually one of the starting factors.
Yeah.
So they decide, okay, well, if I'm going to stay home with my kid and homeschool my kid, then I need to figure out what I'm doing. So, and usually they ask for help, they ask for some feedback, and sometimes there's a specific question that I can help them out with, and go from there. So it's a lot of other mom groups that are all over the place because it's online, so you don't have to worry about just the local groups. And I'm not sitting there posting in the buy and sell local groups. I'm sitting there and offering help in the worldwide stuff because I want to build online. I don't want to just focus on local. So I'm kind of actually avoiding making myself noticed in the local groups and more focusing on the international big groups.
Yeah. So you glitched for a second. Did you say that you are using the buy sell trade sites or not?
I am not.
Okay.
Yeah,
because people are finding success there.
Yes, some people are, but I find that if I'm focusing on the local groups, they all want in person, and that's not what I want to do eventually. Like I want to break away from that. So go with what works for you now, and then also plan ahead and find out what you want to do long term and start building your presence there. So if once you decide to go a bit more online, you can branch out. And I love the fact that it's online. So if I'm in Mountain Time Zone, which is right next to Pacific Time Zone, while the kids here are in school, I can be teaching kids in the UK because it's after school hours for them.
Right.
So it's great because I can have so many students that fills my day rather than just cramming everything into the 4:30 to 9 o'clock slot every afternoon.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you can even play with the time zones within the country as well, because I love when I get to work with my East Coast kids. I can work with them earlier than I can my students that live here locally. And then I love also that my students over on the West Coast, sometimes I can actually fill some morning spots for them right before school because they've got a late start school, and it just works out perfectly with my time. So, and again, you get homeschool kids and you get all kinds of kids and all of that kind of stuff. And people do ask this question all the time, like, well, how do you target these people from these ideal countries that you want to be able to work with, or the states? Do you have a specific process that you use to be able to kind of attract these people into your funnel?
It's just about making relationships and building relationships.
Yeah.
I because I've lived so many places, I can connect on a verbal level. My hubby's from Scotland, so I usually act as the translator a lot of the time. So in groups where someone from England is talking about something and everybody needs to put it in North American layman's terms, and they're just retyping it and saying this is what they actually mean for everyone who doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
English.
Yeah, English, right? That's awesome. So you're really just making sure that you are constantly being of service to other people, so that you're just really about engaging with people in an authentic manner, so that if there ever is an opportunity that kind of pops on up, you're putting yourself directly in the path where there might be people who could utilize your services. That is a phenomenal strategy. And that's really a long-term strategy, right? That we're going to be talking about today, these short-term strategies and long-term strategies. So what do I mean when I'm talking about short-term strategies? Well, Kijiji, short-term, right? It's like, I need a student now. I'm going to go on in there. I'm going to see if I can get a student now. Craigslist, short-term. Remember, you need to be on the lower side scale in order to actually make those work. And then Thumbtack, I'm going to let you guys know, is on the out. Okay. Thumbtack was a great site. And then now Thumbtack has totally taken away to be able to personalize your messages to people who could be possibly interested. And now they have this thing called instant match, where they're instantly matching you with people and they're charging you. I'm sorry, but I have a really big problem with that. Okay, because I was watching my money start to drain out of my PayPal account. Now, you do set the amount of money that you would be willing to pay, but not one of those people was turning into somebody who actually talked to me and they drained my account. I've heard some people say that they like can call, you know, the company and they can ask for a refund because it didn't work out. Like they didn't even have a conversation with the person and it was fine. I do not have time in my day right now to be able to make those kinds of phone calls. And so I removed my credit card so they cannot automatically charge me. And I said, do you realize that you're not going to be on Instant Match anymore? I'm like, I have other strategies in the funnel that are working. So this is just for you guys on out there. Know that this is not a strategy that's working. Now, I want to know from you guys that are in the chat. We've got lots of you in here. We've got Cindy in the house, woo, woo, who helps with reading, writing, dyslexia, dysgraphia. We've got Lisa in the house. Welcome, Lisa. She tutors math for middle school and high schoolers, and she also helps with the praxis. So those of you who are trying to become a certified teacher, this is that's a very important test that people are looking help for. So Lisa is your gal. And then we've got Alexa, who does reading tutoring in Maryland. You know what? That's my girl, Allie, in the house. And then we've got Rajalik. She says that she is tutoring math in grades K-8, and she lives in Texas, where they say, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. That is awesome. Oh, by the way, we don't say that here in Wisconsin. We say, okay, I say, all right, this is not a we thing. I say, we have 8 months of winter, and we have about maybe 4 months of spring. The rest is all up in the air. We really only have 2 seasons here. Like they just skip us. They just skip us. And our summer is more like spring. Like it's like in the 70s. Now that's a beautiful temperature. I do appreciate it. I do love it. I love teaching outside at that temperature. It's amazing. It's wonderful. However, we do have to go through this ice, this cold for like 8 months out of the year, which is why I am going to be a snowbird out in Florida as soon as my kids are out of the house. So that's awesome. And we've got Amana in the house, and she's absolutely Amana's excited to be here from North Carolina. Welcome. Tutors reading and science and health. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. I want to hear from you guys as well. What strategies are working for you right now? And we're going to be categorizing these into, is that a short term, like I can get a student right now from that strategy? Or is that a long term? I can start putting my getting students on autopilot. I'm a big fan of the autopilot, as you know, like anything I can do to get on autopilot is phenomenal. All right. So I'm curious, Jasmine, do you have any strategies that you're utilizing where people just kind of feel like it feels like they're finding you by accident?
Not quite yet. I think okay. It's still in the building process. I've only been doing tutoring for about a year. But I've been, you know, it's been one of my things I'm doing. So I'm, you know, not putting 100% 24 hours into it. Not that you necessarily should, but that's just where I'm going with. So I'm not stressing. I'm managing, and I'm dealing with, because of my health issues, I'm dealing with the managed load that I can manage. So I'm not pressured to make, you know, like have 5 students in a day. That's not what I want.
Sure. Yeah, and everybody does have like a different like situation that they're working with, like whether you have to work with balancing your kids. I know Allie's got twins that are 18 months old. So balancing having these twins and being a stay-at-home mom and running her own business, she's going to put a different amount of time into it, building it up, than some other people that are like, look, if I don't get like 10 students in the next month, I may not be able to pay my rent.
Right.
So this is like an absolute, like, I must do this right now thing. So everybody's at a different spot, and I appreciate that and I respect that. So, you know, and that's where when we get to like connect with each other, we get to share these kinds of things together to be able to figure out, okay, what strategies can I put into place so that I can get students now, and I can have a longer term strategy where it feels like people are just finding me by accident. I like huge fan of SEO and search engine optimization, because people put in a keyword and bam, they're able to find me. So if you didn't see the video on Monday that I posted, check it out, because it shows you how to start looking for those keywords, and then you start creating content based off those keywords. Then it's a lot easier when you do get into some of these groups and people ask questions. You've got content that you can be like, hey, you know what? I actually wrote about this same exact thing, and it leads them also into your funnel as well. And it's helpful, and it's being of service. Or you can create an answer to their very specific question using keywords, and then send them a link. It's like, you know what? I know that there are other people that are asking the same question. I've been meaning to write this blog post, or I've been meaning to create this video. So I created for you. Check it out. Let me know what you think. But this is a strategy that I feel is really effective for this particular problem. And people really appreciate that. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's so nice of you. And that's awesome. All right. So what strategies are working, you guys? I'm refreshing. I'm not seeing them. I know you guys got strategies in here. Come on. It's more fun when you participate. I'm just saying. So let me know what strategies. You know what it's happening, Jasmine? I already know what's happening. They're writing really long answers, right? I'm going to be expecting them coming through. So some of those long, so let's talk guerrilla marketing. Have you tried any guerrilla marketing, or do you know what that term is when I say guerrilla marketing techniques? Like, yeah, go ahead.
Mostly my marketing techniques is just about building brand awareness.
Yeah.
And, speaking to the language that my ideal client has. And it's also making sure I'm speaking both to the student and the parent. Yeah. Because it's two groups, right? You want to make sure that the student wants to be there, because it's a little bit of a bummer when the student doesn't want to be there and they're not really trying and really doing anything. It's a waste of an hour. It's a waste of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you start working with some of those older kids, right?
Right. And, teenagers can be teenagers. So it's all trying to get into their good graces sometimes, and making sure that they want to be there. And then from that point, it's just building brand awareness, because I don't want to work with every student, right? I want to work with the group that I want to work with.
Yeah.
And there's so many different types. Yeah. And there's so many different types of students. There's, people who want to stay up to date with their schoolwork. There's people who have already fallen behind that need to catch up. There's people who aren't really challenged in class and need the extra work or extra learning. And so there's so many, it's not, there's no competition out there. It's all about finding what works for you and what do you want to work with?
Yeah.
So it's not about competition and too many tutors out there, because even if there were 1 million tutors out there, there's going to be at least 2 million kids out there, because they all need tutoring for one reason or another. It's not just catching up.
It really isn't. And I think that is really key. And it is really important for you to realize as a tutor.
1 second.
What are strategies? Yeah. What are going to be the strategies that are going to be successful for you? Like, who do you want to take on? I didn't realize how much I was going to love working with those kids that needed enrichment. But I really do enjoy that. Those kids that they're like, hey, I just need this, or I am not being challenged in school, like you said. I really do enjoy working with them, because they're so easy to work with. And I work with a lot of dyslexic students. And so it's a nice balance mentally for me to have that mix in there. And it makes it really, really easy for me to really work through it. It's really, really nice. Now, we've got some other people that are mentioning some things in here of things that they try. Patricia said that one thing that she's recently done is to target Spanish keywords and create content in Spanish to reach out to that demographic. She knows that this is a long-term strategy. Absolutely. Whenever we're talking about search engine optimization, that is going to be a long-term strategy, right? You're not going to see probably results today or tomorrow with that strategy, but it begins putting some of the strategies you're trying on autopilot, because people are going to begin to find you what they think is called accident, but you've actually put in the pieces so that they can find you. Now, there's never going to be a flood, right? Like, it's a whole bunch of different things that you're trying to be able to get your students. Lisa says that Pinterest traffic is bringing traffic to her site, and she's actually had a Few students find her there. Woo! Awesome. She likes the Pinterest content because it has a longer shelf life than Instagram or Facebook. I completely agree with you on that one. And it can get reshared and reshared. And so for those of you, one of the strategies that is working when it comes to Pinterest is joining Tailwind. Okay. Suzanne Davis talks about this all of the time inside of our group. Tailwind is a fantastic group if you want to start building relationships with other people who are creating content, because you get to share their content, they get to share your content. And you can't be in the group unless you are sharing more than what you are posting. And I think that's a beautiful mix, because it makes sure that the people that are inside of the group, it's not about me, like share my stuff. It's all about let's help each other out. And if the people who are not carrying their weight, they get kicked out of the group. And I think that's a really good strategy. So check that out if you are looking for ways to be able to utilize Pinterest. That is, I think, the number one way to be able to utilize that. That and creating your images in Canva and that kind of stuff. Long term, this is a long-term source where people can continue to find you over time. Jean Harville is heading to Pinterest soon. I love it. Fantastic. Ooh, and we've got, it looks like Patricia might have a new student who has 2 daughters who want to learn English because she found her because of the SEO keywords. So I am like crossing my fingers for you that this is going to be something that works. That's fantastic. Isn't it lovely? I love this part of tutoring. When there's more kids in the house that need help, that makes my strategy so much easier, because, you know, I only have so many spots to be able to fill. So be able to do that is phenomenal. You can't really plan that one. It just happens. And that's what makes it so much fun. And then Lisa says she loves Tailwind. That's helped her get more followers and pins out of more people, which is great. Fantastic. I love it. So let's talk about some of these guerrilla marketing techniques. Okay. Some things that you can do. Like, let's say you're in that position where you're like, I need students today. I can't wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Okay. I need them today. Joanne, you don't understand. Nope. I understand. I get it. We're all in different places in our business. So if you're one of these people, I want you to start thinking about these guerrilla marketing techniques. Flyers. Okay. The good old flyer. Where can I put that? You're going to put that in your library if you can, if they let you, if they allow it. You're going to put it in gas stations. You're going to think of the grocery stores. Do they have one of those community boards? Put it up. Some Starbucks even have a space on their board, a community board, where you can put that. Walmart has a community board. Put it on up. Everywhere you can think of that has a community board, put your stuff up, because people will find you based off that. Now, some people think, well, should I mention that I do online tutoring? In these platforms, I wouldn't necessarily. I would work on building them onto an online tutoring relationship as the conversation progresses, if you're going to work with this child or not, okay? Because sometimes that online piece will just scare them like right off the bat, but they can easily be talked into it to try it. So definitely, I would just put that what you tutor, and then your contact information, some information about like some of those things that are going to dig at their heartstrings that you really get their child. Put that on there, and then you're good to go. Another strategy that works is actually signs. Actually, like taking like those yard signs, creating something. I did something very similar in the beginning, and I got my very first client from there. My first paid client came from a sign. I put it by my church. There were other signs there, so I figured I was pretty good to put it there. So I put the sign there. It just said reading tutor, close the gap in a snap, and I had my phone number. That's it. It was super simple. It was not complicated to create. I got like 100, I think I got 50 signs for $100. So yes, I had to invest some money into it, but I easily made the money from that one client, from that one sign. And she then began referring me to lots of other people because she knew I was getting started. So here's something that you guys have. If you are just getting started, here's something really special you have. These people who become your first clients, they're like your biggest rooting stars. They seriously want to be able to help you get this business started. So if you just say, hey, I am getting started, this is why I am charging a little bit less right now than I will be. If you happen to know anybody, let them know about what it is that I'm doing. I'd appreciate that so much. A lot of these people are going to want to help you. be able to succeed. So awesome, awesome stuff. I love it. So Jean said that right now she's attaching YouTube videos to her blog, so her visitors can either read the blog or watch the video, which gives more views on the videos, right? That's just a win-win. So again, you're like increasing your social proof. You are, if you guys haven't seen Jean Harville's amazing video, she's doing such an incredible job with them, very professionally done on a very low budget. Check them out. They're really, really cool. Feel free, Jean, to share your link to your YouTube channel. They're beautiful. She's used a Canva overlay so that when people look at her videos, you know, it really pops and stands out. She's using SEO to be able to get found. I mean, lots of really good things are happening. She says she's also hooking up with homeschool moms locally and interviewing them to see what they need and using their language when writing copy and website and email. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to refer you to all the other homeschool moms. Woo! Love it. Way to go, Jean. This is awesome. Again, it's all about being of value and being of service to them. And there are some strategies that we can learn that are going to make us better over time. One of those strategies is copywriting. Okay, so this is a long-term goal. Learning how to speak to your ideal client is going to be huge. You know, we think that writing out our entire resume on our website makes us look more experienced, and everybody should hire us because of that. But I want to tell you guys something. Your website's not about you. Your website is about the other person on the other side of that screen. How can they connect with you? Do you understand what they're going through? Can you empathize with them? And I talk about this all the time about an empathy chart and really being able to write language that is going to pull at their heartstrings to really understand that you know what's going on with the type of kids you like to work with. That is going to be so much more powerful. Testimonials are going to be really powerful. These are some long-term things. So building that website, getting that online presence, that's all a long-term strategy. Those short-term strategies are signs, flyers, and this one is the scariest one of all, at least it is for me. Going into schools and actually talking to teachers, guidance counselors, principals. Yeah, it's scary. And some are going to turn you down. They're going to be mean. They're not going to be very nice. They're going to tell you they have a tutor list. They may or may not have a tutor list. Who knows? I don't know. I know my school that I like talk to people with, and I had volunteered several hours in there, and they told me, yeah, we could put you on the tutor list. I'm like, okay. And then when my child actually had some struggles with reading, I was never handed a tutor list. And so some people in my group, they've asked me, well, did you ask for one? I'm like, wait a minute. Would a parent who has a child who's struggling know to ask for a tutor list if they didn't even know there was a tutor list? Probably not. So I'm not sure. Like some schools, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. When I was in that situation, I received no tutor list. So know that you're going to get all these different kinds of responses. But Terry Grigsby has been doing this, and it has been working phenomenally. She's been reaching out to them through email. She's been going into the schools. She's been going to the community colleges, and she's been making some of these relationships and engaging with them and saying, hey, here's what I offer. If you have students that are struggling, is there a way that we can connect so that I can be able to help them? Let me help you, right? Like you're struggling with these kids. They need extra help. Some school districts, you will hear that if they refer you, then they are taking liability or responsibility for you and your results. May or may not be the case, but heck, their school is already failing with this child. So how could things get worse? I don't know.
I think it's also important to note that a lot of teachers feel that if they can't connect with every single student and make a difference in every single student's life, they feel like they failed. So it's making sure that you're using the language that takes the pressure off of the teachers, right? Making the teachers your friends, because they're teaching every year. They're going to have a new batch of kids every year. That's the possibility of ongoing students every year sent your way. If you make them feel like they're not failing, they just are working with what they're given and, doing the best that they can. So making sure that you don't alienate the teachers is a good thing.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, 100%. And you know, the whole thing with the teachers, I mean, most of us have been teachers, is how we've ended up in this line of work to begin with, and we know what it's like to be in that classroom. I mean, my first year teaching, I had 32 kids. It was absolutely ridiculous, and I actually really thought for the longest time, I don't know if it's true or not, I really thought that like 50% had some really deep emotional issues that I was completely unable to handle as a first year teacher. Like I had no experience, and I had no experience with this demographic of kids and what we were starting. And it was a brand new school on top of it. So there were a lot of issues. And so my heart goes out to the teachers and the things that are being put on their plate, and the stresses and all the standardized testing and all of the curriculum and the watching over the shoulder and all of that kind of stuff that's going on inside of the school system. You know, this is why I had to leave the school system, because they put me in the position where I was the shoulder watcher. I was going into the classroom. I was supposed to be a coach, but like I couldn't say anything to the principal what was happening in the classroom, because if I did, then I'd ruin the relationship with the teacher. Yet sometimes if I didn't say something to the principal, then we got a really big issue on our hands. And it was just like, I hated that line. And it was so stressful. And teachers' egos were so easily bruised. And I'm going to tell you, I was the biggest person whose ego would get bruised. Like I wanted people coming into my classroom, and I wanted them to tell me all the good things that I had done, because I was busting my butt. I was waking up. I was getting into the school at 6 o'clock, and I wasn't leaving until 6 o'clock at night. I was working 12-hour days. Guess what? The amount of time that you put in matters nada. It does not matter. The only thing that matters at the end of the day are you getting results? But I wanted people to tell me that I was doing it. I wanted them to stroke my ego. I wanted them to tell me, you're doing such a great job. And instead, here's what I got. So-and-so got into a fight on the playground. So-and-so got in a fight in the cafeteria. So-and-so can't come to school for the next 3 days because they're homeless and they have no food and whatever. It was just like all these like things which like take up your mental space for the whole teaching aspect. It was classroom management more than it was teaching when I was in the inner city. Now, I know not everybody has that experience. So these teachers are under a lot of stress, and they care so much, and they care so deeply about every single student that comes into their classroom that, like you said, Jasmine, they do feel like sometimes they've failed in some way. But when there is a gap of 3 to 4 years for these kids, a classroom teacher who is expected to teach curriculum A and be on lesson blank by November 2nd doesn't have the opportunity to stop and slow down and meet the needs of that child. And so they are stuck under the parameters of the school system. And that's what they're dealing with. And that's where we get to add so much value to what these teachers are doing. So it is interesting though, you guys, because the more you do get out there and you start making connections with people and people start finding your content, your local teachers are going to start finding you. And you're going to have students that are inside of their classrooms, and they're going to see like these students like spiking up in their scores and stuff. And they're going to like ask the parent, like, what's going on? Like all of a sudden, like they're really like doing really, really well. And then the parent shares, we got a tutor. And they're like, give me her name, give me her information. I need to figure this out. Like, who is she? And they start referring you to. So there are some really beautiful things that happen with that whole entire point. All right. So Jean said, you know, talking point to parents, raise your child's self-esteem by giving them the gift of a tutor to improve their reading. You know what? It is a beautiful gift to be able to just raise their self-esteem. And then guess what happens in the classroom? There's less classroom management issues, right? Because it's better to feel funny or liked in the classroom, you know, be snarky or, you know, be seen as the, you know, cool kid instead of like, you know, the smart kid. And if I don't ever want to be seen as the dumb kid, right? So I better like excel in one of these other areas. And a lot of times it disrupts the classroom management so that you can teach to the other kids. So not only are teachers really protecting their classroom, by really referring some of these amazing tutors to these families, they're going to be making it easier on them as well, because all of a sudden their behavior, they're going to start seeing behavior changes that are going to be positive because they believe in themselves more, and they don't have to cover up that they're not feeling very smart with the students. So all of these are some really great points when it comes to getting students and things that are working. I love being able to talk about like all the amazing strategies that you guys are utilizing and tackling. I want to remind you that we still have the Hue HD document camera. Now, next Thursday, we are going to be announcing the winner for this beauty. Okay. So you definitely want to come to find out if you're the winner, right? I'm going to be announcing the winner next week. If you didn't enter, you still can. You've got 1 week left. All you have to do is go into the description. You're going to hit the link, fill out the form. You're going to subscribe to this channel, comment on a video. And guess what? Every single comment that you make on the channel gets you an additional ticket into win this. So if, let's say, somebody makes like 10 comments on different videos, well, there you go. That's 10 extra entries you get for the document camera. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. So definitely, if you want to win, go on in, start commenting like crazy, like a little banshee, and who knows, more chances means that you have more opportunity to be able to win this beauty. So, are there any other strategies that we have about that you've been utilizing, Jasmine? Oh,
I know, I did it. I got it. Not really. I mean, it's just making the relationship. So it's
yes.
I mean, finding out where you're comfortable and working to your strengths. So build relationships. How you build relationships best.
Yeah.
I'm very much an introvert when it comes to not being on stage. I mean, I love being on stage, but when it comes to, interdynamic, interpersonal relationships, I'm such an introvert. So
funny. I think I should do research on this, because I think that us people that like love this idea of online tutoring, everyone I talk to says the same exact thing. Yeah. I'm totally an introvert. So remember before I said like going into the schools like absolutely frightens the bejesus out of me, because I hate talking to strangers, talking about me, and like, oh, it just is so uncomfortable for me. So like the first couple times when I just people kind of like brushed me off, I kind of gave up because of my interpersonal nature. So we got a kitty in the house. Is that a kitty?
Yeah, this is Carmen. Carmen's one of the cheerleaders for the kids, as I like to say.
Carmen, you're famous. You're on YouTube, Carmen. Hey, you guys like cat videos?
Hashtag cat videos.
Here we go. Cat video.
So yeah, no, it's I like the fact that I hate phone calls. I screen my phone calls, and I would much rather texting or emailing. So I don't put my phone number out there. I just say contact me via, the blue button on my Facebook page, or, email.
Yeah.
And they do that. And then once I've got them as a client, I give them my phone number, and we text message mostly. And a lot of the time it's just like, hey, I can't make it today, or hey, the student's sick, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sitting there on the phone all day. And that's what I love. Like I've got the screen in front of me on the online tutoring side, but I'm not sitting here trying to convince people to hire me. They're already interested by the time I'm talking to them, right? In voice. Right. So it's just sort of selling them on the online part. They're already interested in tutoring.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times when people are finding you online, they're already interested in the online aspect because they were online when they found you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot
really, yeah. So working to your own individual strengths, and then, building it up from there. So if you're really great at sending emails, work on building an email list, and offering a freebie on your website, and getting your name out there. If you're really good at answering questions of tech. I know there's a couple of people in the tutor group. They're great with tech, so everybody just tags them. So become known for that and just answer questions. So if someone has a tech issue, they can just be like, oh, search the group and find the person's name and say, hey, can you help me with this one quick, fast tech thing? And, and usually, I save those names, those people who, helped me the one-off time, and it was a 5-minute thing for them versus a 5-hour thing for me,
right?
To get figured out. And then, if someone needs tech, I say that this person's great. They'll help you out.
Yep.
So that's referrals right there.
Yeah.
I mean, within the tutor, group, tutor industry.
Yeah. And even inside of our group, there's so many times where somebody has a student and they don't know somebody who can tutor that area, and they just throw it out there like, hey, I've got a student who needs this. Anybody have any spots open? And bam, like they get a name instantly of somebody that they can refer. And I think that is so powerful for you because it shows that you're connected, but then it also is a great relationship building with that other tutor. You never know when somebody's going to pay you back for that. And it may not be the same person, right? It might be somebody else who is like, oh, so-and-so is really good at this. I got an email from somebody the other day and they're like, hey, I saw that you do something with writing. Can I test out your session and just see if this is going to be something that's going to be a good fit? And I was kind of like wary because I'm like, I don't do writing. And so I said, no, but I have a friend that I can refer you to. Are you interested in me connecting the two of you together? By the point I like connected with her, she said she already found someone. So I was actually a little hesitant on what she really wanted at the end of the day. Cause I was like, does she just want free comments on like her paper? But that's not even what I do. So I don't know how she got the idea that that's what I did. Like a reading tutor. Where did you get that I was a writing tutor? Like that's weird. But hey, it's all good.
Yeah. So just play to your strengths. Like know your strengths and work on those. And like in the intro when Joanne mentioned me, I have health issues. I have, mild learning disabilities. So I get it. Those are my, long ago weaknesses that I'm turning into strengths. So go where you connect best.
Yep. And guess what? I mean, there's so many ways to connect you guys with people online. And the number one way I would say, like, if you're just getting up and getting started, definitely start building that website because it's going to be like your online business card. Okay. But we're going to turn it into something that actually is going to be a way for people to find you what feels like accidentally. So get that up and going as fast as you can so that you can start, creating content and be able to let people know what it is that you do. And then try some of those short-term strategies like going on Craigslist or Kijiji or Thumbtack. No, it's kind of dead. But you could try it. I don't know. I'm not hyping it up though, like I was for a little while because it was hot and now it's not.
Yeah, so, and even the Brits, try Gumtree. The Brits can try Gumtree. I even living in Canada, I've browsed Gumtree. And Gumtree is the British version or the UK version. I think it's even more European as well, but that's that Craigslist version over there because we have Craigslist, but nobody uses it here in Canada, not really.
Yeah.
So Gumtree, Kijiji, Craigslist, depending on where you're at, go where it's most easiest to find people. And if don't be afraid to take the in-person tutoring thing to start with.
Yeah.
Right. And in person, that builds, referrals, and then you can move them eventually to online, next time we have a big freeze.
Well, and that's what I do too. Like if I let people know right away, like I travel at times, and sometimes I bring my business with me. If we do online tutoring, are you willing to still do the tutoring on, like, move it to online when I'm on these kinds of trips? Because I like to at least sprinkle it in there, let them try it, but I don't move forward with an in-person student until they say, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. Because then I know that at least we got some leeway. Like if they're going to have problems with then their car, now I know, okay, well, they were willing to try it if I traveled. So are you willing to try it now that you can't come to my house because of the weather? Right. And so, I'm able to convince them a little bit more, and then you can start moving them more and more and more on there. So hopefully all of you guys right now, I am going to ask you, take a look at the description on here. If you are on your phone, you're going to have to exit out of the chat. Please hit that like button if there has been one thing that you feel like you can take away from what we've talked about today. Okay, hit that like button. I'm going to watch this number go on up. Okay, we're at 3 right now. We're going to watch it go up. It's okay. I'm refreshing. Come on, guys. You're killing me. You know what it must be? There's a delay. There's a delay. So when they're watching this, we're speaking at a faster rate, and then they see like the last like 10 seconds of what we've said. So there's a delay. So I mean, we're going to watch that number rise. We're here. We're watching. No, I'm not gonna, that would be very poor. refresh.
It's like waiting for, you know, the online tickets to go on sale.
Right. You guys, so just so you guys know, like we're going to be talking about social proof on Monday's video. Come join us live for the chat. It's really a lot of fun. It's really exciting for me because I get to be talking and chatting at the same time. I'm not really chatting at the same time because I've already pre-recorded it, but I get to chat with you guys and really get to interact. And I do like to engage with you guys. So definitely check that out. And this is part of social proof, right? Getting people to thumbs up your stuff. You have to ask. If you don't ask, they won't do it. The more social proof that you have, the more comfortable people feel with moving forward with your services. So you want to think about ways that you can completely engage in that way. So thanks for joining us, you guys. Thank you, Jasmine, for taking time out of your day to share what's working with your strategies for getting students. And thanks for giving us a cat moment. I really miss cats. I'm allergic to them now. So I enjoy the cat moments.
Yeah, no, I've got a cat and a dog, and they act like each other. One thinks she's a cat, one thinks she's a dog.
That's hilarious.
Yep. So I must. You don't have to. You can be allergic, but you have to like them because they definitely like being part of the session, part of the action.
They do. And so my poor doggy gets kenneled during the day because he likes to not only be part of the session, but bark all the time. So I'm like, I love you, but you know what? If I had a job like outside of the home, I'd have to kennel you. And so I don't really see it any different. I feel bad. I do feel bad about it, though. I do feel bad. But you know what? There isn't anything we can do there. All right, guys, I'm refreshing. What do we got? Anybody like it? Yay, you guys came through. High five, everybody. Woo! Again, thanks for joining us, Jasmine. It's been a pleasure being able to talk with you, and thanks for being a member of that Ultimate Support Group. And I can't wait to see you in the chat and talking and all that stuff in the future. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Bye.